They are accused of leading a doomsday cult. They are accused of conspiring to murder 3 people. They are accused of funding their love affair with insurance money and stolen Social Security payments. Lori and Chad Daybell are married. Their prior spouses are dead, and her children murdered and buried in their yard. It's a crime prosecutors say was fueled by sex, money, and power. The power coming from their ability to convince their followers that the world was ending and dark spirits were taking over people's bodies which needed to be killed. Lori has already been convicted of murdering her children and conspiring to murder Chad's first wife, Tammy. And now it's Chad's turn to face a jury. Tonight, we will take a close look at his defense. First, his relationship with Lori. Was she the one who pursued him? Was she the one manipulating her brother, Alex Cox, to commit murder so she could get what she wanted? And what about the death of Chad's wife, Tammy? Was it murder or something else? Lori's other brother joins us live tonight with his insight into his family, the murders, and Chad's trial as we continue our investigation of the doomsday couple, Chad and Lori Daybell.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us here on Closing Arguments, day 1 in a big, big trial. The trial of Chad Daybell, the so-called Doomsday Prophet. Now, we already covered the trial of his wife, Lori Daybell, and one thing was clear. One thing was super clear during that trial. She is loyal to the prophet. She loves Chad. She would never, ever turn on her husband. No way, not having it. At one point during her trial, when her lawyer said something negative about Chad Daybell's writings, she was fuming mad at her own attorney. Her loyalty will be there till the end of times. Now, today's day 1 of the prophet's trial, and already pointing the finger at Lori. Pointing the finger at Lori. This is not going to be a case like the last one. This will not be a trial like the last one. No way. Chad Daybell does not want to stay in prison. Chad Daybell does not want to go to death row. And Chad Daybell is pointing the finger at his own wife, the woman who is 1,000% loyal to him. And it was clear from opening statements today where this defense is going. And they're going straight at convicted murderer Lori Daybell. But Chad has more than one finger. He's pointing another finger at his brother-in-law, his dead brother-in-law, Alex Cox, the one who passed away on the toilet. Pointing a finger at him and his relationship with his wife, his sister, Chad's wife, and saying, it's those two people are the ones you need to look at. Those two are the ones who started this whole thing. Lori's obsessed. Lori's manipulative. And Alex Cox does whatever his sister wants. That was clear today. This is going to be a different trial, folks. Way different. Lori had great lawyers, but Lori wasn't letting her lawyers really defend her the way they wanted to defend her, the way that was obvious for them to defend her because of that loyalty. That is not happening here. So tonight on this program, we're going to have some inside information about this family from members of this family. Lori and Alex's brother, Lori and Alex's uncle will join us live to get their insight into these two, their relationship and what happened. And also to get some insight, like, where did this come from? Where on earth did all of this come from? But before we do any of that, folks, it was day one, opening statements, witnesses taking the stand, and Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson joining us live tonight where it's all happening, Boise, Idaho. Matt, great to see you. Big, big day today. So this is the way I want to do it. We're going to count them down. You give me the three biggest things that happened today from your perspective. What do you have for number one?
Hey, Vinny, nice to see you. Number one is the fact that there was a bombshell here in Boise in this courthouse here behind me when we learned that the defense is going to be pointing the finger at Lori and her brother Alex, and they are putting on a defense, and they are also going to be calling several witnesses. So here's where we are with that. They call her a black widow vixen who seduced and influenced Chad, influenced her brother Alex Cox, who would do anything for her and protect the goddess. The defense bringing up Alex Cox tased her third husband and then shot and killed her fourth husband, as we know, Charles Vallow. Now, the defense also talking about the fact that Chad Daybell, who's at this defense table, is not a suspect in Chandler, Arizona, where Lori will be on trial in Maricopa County come this fall. Vinny?
It's a different trial. It's a different case. Black Widow Vixen. How about that? Okay. What do you have for number two today out of Boise?
Well, it was a tough day for the family. So I sat in the gallery near Tammy Daybell's aunt, Vicky, and she was seated in between Larry and Kay Woodcock. They were comforting each other. They were holding hands because, again, these were tough statements, and it really scrapes off the scab that they have been dealing with for the past almost 5 years now, waiting for justice. I met up with her outside the courthouse here. Here's what she shared with us. I know that today was probably a little bit emotional. I saw you wiping away a tear. How are you holding up?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. You know, it comes in waves, and it's the kind of thing that you don't know when it's going to come, and then sometimes you just feel a little tear coming down, and you don't even realize that it's there, and it just, you know, I can't explain it.
Sounds like they're going to put on a defense this time around. We didn't see that with Lori's case. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I caught a little bit of her brother's podcast I think it was a couple weeks ago, where he said that if they were going to throw Lori under the bus, and I felt like that was kind of heading that way. And he said, but with Lori where she's at, that she would just think it was his lawyer and that it wasn't Chad's.
Vicky planning to be here each and every day along with the Woodcocks. They say that this is a long time coming, but they owe it to their family members, the victims.
You know, when you think about the other difference in this case, the first trial, the ultimate betrayal was a mother murdering her children. In this case, the betrayal is a husband accused of murdering his wife and the mother of his children. Wow. Okay, what do you have for number three tonight, Matt?
Number three, Vinny, we are seeing media from around the country, national media, and of course all of the locals that have been covering this since the beginning, like we have here at Court TV. And we're also seeing, you know, like last year, a lot of the trial watchers lining up here at the Ada County Courthouse in the capital city of Boise in the early morning hours just to get a seat inside the courtroom. Here's what the first person in line told me. Why be here today?
Yeah, so I have been following it. I found that it was an interesting case. I happened to be in town taking a break, and so I just wanted to come to opening trials to hear really what the defense has to say. I feel like the prosecution, it might be like a repeat of the Lori Vallow trial, but I think that hearing what John Pryor is putting out there is going to be super interesting. So that's why I'm here this morning.
Thank you. And you know, it's pretty interesting, Vinny, because I'm seeing a lot of the court watchers that we saw last year and we spoke with. You know, a lot of these people are driving from other parts of the Pacific Northwest up to 5 hours just to get here. But they're invested like the rest of us, because remember, it all started with Where Are the Children? And that got to so many people's hearts.
Yeah, it was amazing to see how this story began. And it started as a local story. You know, a child is missing. Grandparents are looking for their grandson. And as each development came to light, it made you scratch your head and wonder, wow, and then wow, and it just kept coming. And now, finally, Chad Daybell in court, cameras, we'll see the images, we'll hear the testimony. Of course, we'll get all of the behind the scenes and the stuff that the cameras don't show from Matt Johnson, Court TV crime and justice correspondent. Matt, thanks so much. We'll speak again tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day as this trial continues. Thank you so much. I want to bring in our first special guest tonight, joining us, Lori Vallow, Daybell's uncle, Rex Connor, who along with Lori's brother Adam, who will be joining us soon, has written the book Lori's Lies and Family Lies, and they have started a podcast called Tylee and JJ's Silver Linings. Rex, thanks so much for joining us. Great to see you tonight. You know, we listened to the opening statements today, and Lori's referred to as the Black Widow Vixen. Now, she has a history. She has a lot of husbands. So from your perspective, as a member of the family, like when she went from husband to husband to husband to husband to husband, what was the chatter in the family about what was going on with Lori?
Well, that chatter was just poor decision making, as it is, you know, any people that end up dissolving their marriage, a lot of it, we look at a lot of it as being poor decision making. And so there is nothing beyond that with Lori that concerned us until Joe Ryan was killed. That started really a division in the family.
Explain that a little bit.
Well, just some of the family protected Lori. Her mom and her sister famously went on TV and to defend Lori when the children were missing, but that division started earlier. And some people felt that there was more to it than just what Lori was saying, and other members of the family were defending Lori and bought completely into her stories.
Now, the number of marriages, right? And you know, it happens. It's not super common though to have one, then another. Then
Right.
Was this a case where she would meet someone and very quickly fall in love? Were there allegations of infidelity with any of the other husbands? Like, we know that she cheated on Charles, who we're looking at right here, Charles Vallow, who was shot by your nephew Alex. We know she cheated on him, but were there other instances where there was infidelity?
Not that I'm aware. The first two husbands, I think, were just as you described. Quick marriages, got into it, found their mistakes, got out of it. I don't know if there's infidelity on Lori's side. I know the second husband was unfaithful. I say I know that. I don't really know anything anymore after this story has progressed and come out, but apparently not on Lori's side at that point. But and then the divorce with Joe Ryan was very contentious, and a lot of us were getting information just from Lori or her mom, my sister. And frankly, I was on Team Lori at that time until Charles was shot, or until Lori started dissolving that marriage and talking about why. And it sounded so eerily similar to her marriage with Joe Ryan. I started doing my own investigating of that, and some other members of the family did too, and that's what started the rift in the family.
I want to play a little bit of John Pryor's opening statement where he's talking about all these marriages, and then the meeting of Lori and Chad.
He was there in one of his booths trying to promote his books. He laid them out there. And this beautifully stunning woman named Lori Vallow comes up. And she starts giving him a lot of attention. And she pursued him. And she encouraged him. And you'll hear testimony that she went so far as to grab behind the booth and sort of help him in trying to sell some of his books. She obviously had an interest, and maybe she felt that he was this publisher, or maybe she had an opinion. You'll hear testimony about that. Lori Vallow was someone who, right out of high school, married her first husband. You'll hear testimony about this. That marriage was very short-lived, very short-lived. She then married husband number 2 a few years later. And again, very short-lived marriage. We're going to fast forward then to 2019. Lori Vallow is still married to Charles Vallow. And the prosecuting attorney mentioned this. Yes, Chad Daybell at that point, was coming in January and February, started to have communications with Lori Vallow. And yes, folks, it turned into an inappropriate relationship. 2019 and forward. And yes, he was engaging in discussions. He was engaging in contact with her, all of the things that the prosecutor talked about in terms of a relationship. Chad Daybell, 29 years of marriage with Tammy Daybell, no discernible issues in his life. And then Lori Vallow comes into the picture, Miss Texas. You'll hear testimony about this beautiful, vivacious woman, very sexual person, and very manipulative. And she knows how to get what she wants. And she drew Chad Daybell into a relationship, and an unfortunate relationship, that Chad fell into.
We have another guest joining us now, Lori Vallow Daybell's brother, Adam Cox, also joining us. Adam, great to see you. Rex is still with us, Rex Connor, Lori's uncle, your uncle too, right? Let me ask you, Adam, very sexual and manipulative. Is that your sister Lori? Was that your sister Lori? Was that your sister Lori?
I mean, I don't know all the details of Lori's life, but, she definitely is a completely different person than she was growing up and even as an adult. So she never manipulated me. She's helped me several times in my life. She did go through a turmoil in her life where, I feel like she changed. So that's all I can really tell you about that.
She pursued Chad. That's what the defense is saying, right? Chad is just signing books, talking to people about the end of times, and in comes the blonde bombshell with the blue eyes. She sets her sight on her target, and she goes after him. Is that your sister, Adam? Sister, Adam?
What a target he is. No, actually, Lori has had several guys come to her, so that doesn't really seem like what you would expect. Could it have happened? Maybe. But again, I feel like Lori was already, going down a path of trying to predict the end of the world and all these other, things, wanting to have, near-death experiences. And then when she met Chad, and Chad had all those things, supposedly near-death experiences, and claimed that he was this God and all this stuff that he filled her head with, then I think she was on board on that. He told her that they were married in other worlds, that, and he, told that to other women and had sex with other women. He used that on several women. So it's just odd that he would just point out, or that their defense would be saying that Lori did that when Chad is using the same lines to pick up women and have sex with them. Like when Julie Rowe was on another show and she talked about that, and Melanie Gibb. And so, you know, it's, yeah, if Chad's trying to play innocent, he's not.
Adam Cox, Rex Connor staying with us. When we come back, we'll talk about Lori, right? And we'll talk about Alex, Lori's brother, Adam's brother, and Rex's other nephew. Plus, coming up next hour.
In Waukesha, Wisconsin, the next chapter of the infamous Slender Man stabbing. Two 12-year-old girls lured their friend into the woods and stabbed her 19 times. She survived. Both girls were determined to be legally insane. One was released in 2021. Now the one who had the knife in her hand is back in court trying to get set free from a mental institution.
Is she capable of manipulating and manufacturing circumstances to place herself in a position that's most favorable from her view? You know, I keep thinking of that statement by Abraham Lincoln. You can fool all of the people some of the time, some of the people all of the time, but not all of the people all of the time.
Help that animal, then this is that moment. Because there is an animal suffering right now, waiting for help. And we simply can't get to them without more support from people like you. But helping is easier than you ever imagined. Just visit this website, call this number, or scan this code. Sign up with your monthly gift to the ASPCA. And you can proudly say you've helped rescue innocent animals with your support today. It's just 63 cents a day to help us reach more animals who've been terribly abused or neglected. We know if you saw an animal suffering, you'd do whatever you can to help. So do it now. Go online. Call or scan the code on your screen. Sign up in the next 10 minutes and we'll send you this welcome kit with this t-shirt you can proudly wear. And now that you know how easy it is, would you help that animal today? Please don't wait. Go online, call, or scan now.
Lori's brother, Alex, and you're going to hear about Alex Cox. Alex Cox was Lori's protector. Alex Cox would do anything and everything to protect, aid, and assist Lori Vallow in whatever her endeavors, without unbridled question, anything.
The relationship between Lori, Daybell and her brother, Alex Cox, is going to be a big part of the trial, a big part of Chad Daybell's defense, pointing his fingers at them, right? Away from himself and towards them. I want you to take a listen to this. I always find this clip fascinating. Alex Cox doing some stand-up comedy and joking about what he did to Lori's prior husband, not the husband that he shot and killed, Charles Vallow, but the one before that.
You ever had something that you knew was the right thing to do, but it turns out that later on it was a felony? This is a true story. I found out that my ex-brother-in-law was a pedophile, so I took a stun gun and I discharged it right in his...
I mean, seems to have some stage presence there, right? Let's bring back in our guests, Rex Connor, Adam Cox, Lori's uncle. And Adam is Lori's brother. They're also the uncle and brother of Alex Cox. And they have a podcast, Tylee and JJ Silver Linings, great insight, and their book, Lori's Lies and Family Ties. All right, Adam. So I know your sister Lori, I think it was Mrs. Texas. She was in a pageant there, did very well. I think you have a career in broadcasting as well. Was your brother like a performer too, Alex?
Well, you know, Alex, I think, had the most talent. He just didn't have the ambition to do the things that he should have done. But he's great with impressions, and, you know, not so great. I mean, he wanted to do stand-up, but he really didn't want to do it. I think he just lacked in wanting to put the work in to do it, to be honest with you. But yes, he was talented, and he had a lot of he made a lot of people laugh a lot of the times. He had a great sense of humor.
And you know, when we think about what transpired here, like it seems from some of the evidence I've seen that he, Rex, becomes sort of like the hitman for this cult that Chad and Lori have created. I mean, it's bizarre. What are your thoughts, Rex, about your nephew, Alex, and his relationship with Lori?
Yeah, that is strange. I believe that's true. They became, in effect, a hitman. It's not like he was protective of Lori his whole life. It's not like they had that relationship their whole life. I think it intensified when, again, with the Joe Ryan situation, he decided, hey, I'm going to step up and be the defender here. But it really took root when he converted, and it was like a religious conversion. It was like one day he was laughing at it, and the next day he had listened to the right podcast. It did the right things to him emotionally or spiritually or whatever it did. And he was converted, and when he got converted, he was in whole hog. And so, you know, they created, they both, Chad and Lori, knew how to manipulate him, and they did it very well. And I'm not saying they took an angel and turned him into a devil, but they knew how to push the right buttons and get him to do what they wanted him to do.
Adam, how would you describe the relationship between your brother and your sister? Because, and we've heard this interview that was done with your brother's ex, who described a very strange, bizarre, they were sort of like play acting, like they were engaging in some sexual contact. They had all their clothes on, but it's like in front of everybody. Like, what was going on between those two?
Well, you know, Rex and I talk about this. We did 2 podcasts on just Alex, just because it's hard to imagine that he went off this deep end with them. But as far as Alex goes, you know, he's as you heard, stand-up comedian, likes to joke. A lot of his jokes are inappropriate, which, you know, a lot of people, you know, if you are offended by things that are inappropriate, then yes, you would be offended by that. But joking around all the time. So I've never seen anything with Lori and Alex that was, out of the thing where I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's shocking. So, but did Alex go, was he, inappropriate as far as trying to do some of his humor or make people laugh? Yes, a lot of comics are. But as far as Lori and Alex's relationship, Lori was never close to Alex the whole time we were growing up, or even after that. It really just started, like Rex said, when Lori said that Joe molested her kids and wanted somebody to do something about it. And Alex was the one that says, okay, I'm going to do something about it because this can't, happen, or whatever he decided to do. And that's where I think they started being closer. But even then, it wasn't like Lori would call Alex and talk to him all the time or have a close relationship with him. It just seemed like once Lori started having people read the books and watch the podcasts that she wanted people to read and watch, she asked me several times to read whatever the book, The Glory Work, or whatever that book is, that I was like, I'm not reading it, and go to these meetings. I said, look, I'm not into that. I'm never going to do that. Well, Alex unfortunately did do that, and he got hooked into it. So that's where their relation started to be close. So they were never really close, or anything that's inappropriate as far as that goes. I never saw anything like that.
Let me ask you, Adam, so when your brother shoots and kills your sister's husband, Charles, did they call you and tell you what happened?
No. I obviously was the person that was outside the family. Nobody wanted to talk to me or tell me anything. Charles was dead for 3 days before I even found out. And to me, those are all red flags. A, why didn't anybody tell people if it was just an accident, or if it was self-protection, or whatever the excuse that Lori and Alex, or whatever stories they came up with to my family or to other people? Why in the world wouldn't you tell people? Why would you hide it? And why did Lori lie about how Charles died to everybody something different? I mean, there are so many red flags about it. It just really irritated me and made me mad that, nobody told me anything. So, yeah, that was a hard pill to swallow.
All right, our guests are staying with us. We appreciate all your time tonight. Incredible insight into all of this. When we come back, we're going to talk about the death of Tammy Daybell and try to understand how this is going to play out in this trial, because it looks like the defense is saying she wasn't even murdered.
I know I've been told for years that Tammy would pass away at a young age. And I had no idea that Lori would even be a part of my life. I just knew that my life had 2 segments. And that I know Tammy's on a special mission, and she's with my kids. She's visited them. There's so much, Melanie, that you just have to have faith. And this is not some sort of master plan. There's no way Lori and I could ever come up with this.
I've always wondered, and if he got on the witness stand and I was cross-examining him as the prosecutor, I would ask him, Chad, you're always talking about how you always knew Tammy would die young, and you were telling people. Did you ever tell her? Did you ever tell her? All right. Take a listen here, because a big difference in this case and the first case is this one. There's going to be a lot of focus on the murder of Tammy Daybell. And that's really where this betrayal is, right? Her husband of years, raised 5 kids together, is the one accused of the murder here. Let's take a listen to what John Pryor had to say about that in his opening statement today.
You're then going to hear from Dr. Raven. Dr. Raven is a forensic pathologist, and she's going to talk a little bit about the circumstances surrounding Tammy Daybell. And what Dr. Raven is going to say is that there's no indication that this is either a homicide or any other crime, and that the only conclusion she can come to is you can't determine what the cause of death was. There's no way to determine it. Tammy Daybell was buried. You'll hear testimony about that. And then a short time later, the police officers showed up and they dug her body up after she'd been buried, after she was laid to rest, and then continued after the body was pulled out of the ground and continued to examine it for whatever they were looking for. And what you're going to find is based on that, Dr. Raven's going to say you can't determine what the cause of death is. You're going to hear testimony from the Daybell children, from the children themselves, 4 of the 5 children, I think, three or 4 of the 5 children are going to hear testimony. They're going to talk about their mother's health struggles. They're going to talk about their mother's use of various medicinal treatments that she would use, oils that she would put on her leg, medicine and different herbs that she would take, and that her mother was suffering from, that their mother was suffering from a number of maladies, and that she would refuse to go see a doctor.
It wasn't a murder. It wasn't a murder. It's not somebody else did it. It just wasn't a murder. Still with me, Lori Daybell's uncle, Rex Connor, and her brother, Adam Cox. Also joining us right now, board-certified forensic pathologist, Dr. Priya Banerjee. Dr. Banerjee, this was a case where the victim's body was exhumed 2 months later. And the defense is saying, oh, no, it was something else that happened here, either natural causes or something related to these medicinal treatments. What are the limitations on an autopsy that are done 2 months after the fact? Can you do a toxicology? If there's some medicine or something in your body that may cause something, would you be able to tell 2 months later?
I think, you can't deny that 2 months is a long time. And I don't know the condition of her body, how well she was embalmed, but any injuries should still be visible. Okay, so I'm curious, obviously I don't have the report, but I'm very curious to see what Dr. Raven says. I don't know him or her, but nonetheless, I don't think they would go forward with the case without a more definitive set of injuries.
In the second autopsy, they're saying asphyxia, and that there's some bruising looking like she was restrained. But the defense has a different perspective on all of this. So are there things that they're going to be able to argue, or an expert would say, listen, this is done 2 months later, we don't know this, we don't know that, therefore something else is possible here?
I think anytime you're facing a death, a million things are possible, right? But we have to look at the circumstances. I don't think any of these, I don't know what they are, these topical oils or whatnot, I don't think that negates the fact that she suddenly died, and what's reported is he was trying to expedite her burial. And in my experience, I've worked with exhumed bodies. That doesn't happen willy-nilly. You have to have a legal process to really get someone exhumed, have enough suspicion to do so. Toxicology is going to be very important. Obviously, some things could be limited, but I think they're still going to try and see if there's metabolites of anything that can be detected. But you can also still see injuries if they're there, bruising, bleeding inside. Those happen while someone's alive, not dead, and they don't appear 2 months later.
Okay, Rex and Adam, the other thing that is stuck in my mind from the beginning, because I don't believe in coincidences necessarily, the day they announced that she's being exhumed is the day that your brother Alex dies, like alone on the toilet in the bathroom. Let me ask you, Rex, you go first, but I want both of you to give me your answers. Do you think that Alex was murdered?
Yes. And we go back and forth, and the only two options are he is murdered or he started realizing what was going on and he took his own life. And so neither one would surprise me. And I can't remember which one I'm leaning toward right now because it goes back and forth and we'll never know. We may never know for sure. But it wasn't just pulmonary embolisms.
Yeah. Adam, do you agree?
We talk about this on the podcast so many times.
I think we've lost Adam's connection. Dr. Priya Banerjee, do we have her? We do, right? Okay.
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we still had you. Everybody disappeared on me for a second.
No.
So, when someone just dies, right? And
yes.
Alex was not old. I think he was in his 40s. Dies, embolism. How definitive is that? How difficult will it be to pick up if you're not looking for poison, if you're not looking for something like that? Is it possible that it would be under the radar and could be missed?
Absolutely. So, I think we don't do the $1 million workup on every case. You have to guide your exam by your investigation, right? Because the resources are limited and it's just not fruitful. So if you see a pulmonary embolism and it's a sudden death, that could complete the picture. Now, obviously hindsight's 20/20. This case obviously has so much complexity now that, it raises other questions. Was there something along with the pulmonary embolism that could have, taken his life? Again, coincidences seem too convenient here.
Yeah. The timing of all that just makes no sense to me.
And I just wanted to chime in about Tammy. I mean, it's very unusual for a 49-year-old who's active and healthy to suddenly die and not undergo an autopsy. So I was shocked that the initial window or the initial investigation, even if she's healthy, quote unquote, wasn't pursued. I'm 45, and God forbid in 4 years, if something happens to me, I hope my family would want more answers, and the police or the community, so I just think she's not old at all. She's 49, or I think 49 or 50, whatever she is. She wasn't in that advanced grandma stage. Does that make sense? She's active, she's working, obviously very smart, running a business, and then suddenly she dies. I don't see why she didn't have an autopsy. She looks relatively healthy and active. And so
my understanding was she was training. She was training for some sort of a competition, a marathon.
Right. And so to me, that's where the autopsy comes really into play. What happened? That's the seminal answer that we need to provide for a family. And if someone then turns around and says, oh, no, let's expedite her burial, that should raise red flags right there.
Yeah. Oh, he was in a rush. He was in a rush. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Priya Banerjee, for joining us. Rex Connor, great to see you. And say goodbye to Adam for us. I know our lines got a little disconnected there, but I hope you'll both come, all of you will come back on the program as we continue to cover this.